Hey there, it's Shauna. I hope you're doing great. Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for December 11th. So this week I've titled, I'm feeling myself, because this week you may be feeling yourself. You may feel really good. We have a new moon coming this week and some other things in the astrology that I'm excited to share with you. And then also I have 3 tips for you to have an amazing week. So let's get started. So the first thing that's happening this week is we still have Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is our mind and our thought process. When Mercury is retrograde, this happens about 3 to 4 times a year, we're rethinking things. We're going back over situations and belief systems and all of these things. So we're still doing that. And then this week in particular, Mercury will conjunct the Sun and Venus. And this is all happening in the sign of Sagittarius. So the Sun is our spiritual energy. It is how we define ourselves. It's like our I am energy. And so it's very much related to our ego self, how it is that we define ourselves. Venus, of course, is related to relationships and beauty and attraction and the things that we love to love, but especially social dynamics. And so when this happens, Mercury comes into contact with basically the Sun, our ego, our sense of self, and then Venus, our relationships. So I would imagine that we may be really thinking about our relationships, who we are in relationship dynamics to a certain extent, but I really feel like this is more about how we fit in to the relationships that we're in. So whether that be that you're with a partner or your family dynamics, how do you identify yourself? Are you a mother, a daughter, a child, a partner, a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, you know, anything in between, all of those things? We may be reconsidering those and re-envisioning those. In addition to this, the Sun will also trine Uranus. And so the Sun, again, it's like, who am I in this world? What is my ego identity? And then Uranus is about liberation. It's about freedom. It's about changing things up. And so there's a certain element of independence and personal sovereignty here. So I think this is going to feel very enlivening. This is like where you may be really feeling yourself, feeling good, and you may have a new insight or a new awakening, or you just may feel very free. So this is happening with the Sun in the sign of Sagittarius and Uranus in Aries. These are both fire signs. There's lots of passion here. And so yeah, I think that, so what I would say with all of this is that we may be thinking about relationships and we may feel a sense of needing to reclaim our independence. That's what the Sun and Uranus together is really about, is having a bold sense of self that is free and uninhibited. And then, of course, last but not least, we have a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. And so this new moon is happening on Sunday, December 17th. Sunday or Monday, depending on where you are in the world. It is exact at 26 degrees of Sagittarius at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. And then Universal Time, it's exact on Monday at 6:30 a.m. And then over down under Australian Eastern Time, it's exact Monday at 4:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time. And so what is this new moon about? So new moons are always this time of a fresh start, of the beginning of a new cycle. The new moon is a time when we are more introverted and we're really thinking about what it is that we want to bring forth in the coming month and just in the coming months and the coming year. It's a time of newness and freshness and like having an idea or an insight, but not really knowing exactly what we're going to do with it just yet, how it's going to play out. And this new moon, it's the last new moon of 2017, so it's really sweet. And the fact that this happens towards the end of the week, I would say leading up to the new moon, it's a great time for self-reflection, especially since we're nearing the end of the year. And so Sagittarius is all about belief systems. It's about discovery and experiencing new things, and how when we experience new things, we're changed. When we go to a different place, when we talk to someone that has a different viewpoint than we do, it changes us. And it can change us in a little way, or it can just totally change our entire belief system. And so these are all good things to muse on as you're thinking about what it is that you want to do in the coming month, what it is that you want to bring into the world, especially in 2018. What is your belief system? What is your belief structure? Where is your sense of faith? And is there something that you want to explore around that? So yeah, that's that. So all of that being said, I have 3 tips for you to really make the most of this astrology for this week. So tip number 1 is to reflect on your relationships. And so this is important for a few different reasons, because we have Mercury retrograde going on. Mercury retrograde will come into contact with that Sun and Venus situation, like I said. So this is all like we're thinking about relationships. And the other part of this is we're in the waning phase of the moon, so it's really great to go inside and to reflect. Like, who are you in relationship, and how do you define yourself? What kind of a partner are you? What kind of a partner do you want to be versus what you actually are? And I say this, like, I don't want you to like try to figure out who it is that you want to be. I want you to stay within like what kind of a partner, what kind of partnerships do you have right now? Like, what is the reality? And you can even make this into like, if you want, a positive and a negative column. Like, what are the positive qualities that you have in partnership versus the ones that kind of trip you up sometimes? And maybe some qualities fit into both categories. But really take stock of what it is that is reality for you right now within your partnerships and how you define yourself. Tip number 2 is to release old baggage this week. So what do I mean by that? So I say that because we're moving towards the new moon. And so anytime when we're working towards a new moon, the moon is waning, it's starting to appear smaller in the sky. So it's a really great time to start to release things, especially Friday, Saturday is a really great time to release old baggage. And so we can do this through self-reflection, like releasing emotions by a process of like catharsis, by actually writing about them. We can release old baggage by getting body work, doing yoga, getting a massage, walking, running, swimming, and just by literally throwing shit away too, or donating, whatever is appropriate, by doing a little bit of spring cleaning, so to speak, in your home or in your workspace. And that's great just for this time of year, but especially this little phase of the lunar cycle. And with Mercury retrograde, it's really great to go through and process things. So before I give you tip number 3, I want to read a quote to you that I really like for this week. And so this is by the person that we're featuring on the podcast, on the Feminine Principle podcast. This is Nicki Minaj. She is the artist. She's a well-known female rapper, and she has this really bold and competitive spirit. She's a Sagittarius, and she also has Venus in Sagittarius, so I thought she was very perfect for this week. So she says, "Beauty might bring happiness, but happiness always brings beauty." And so I like this short and simple and sweet because it's true, sometimes beauty brings us happiness, but sometimes when we're happy, there is a sense of beauty in our life, and this can be physical beauty or just like that feeling of beauty. And so especially because we're in Mercury retrograde and we're in this time of the end of the year and reflecting on things, I want you to think about that, how there's this kind of like duality between like surrounding ourselves with beauty brings happiness, but then also when we're happy, beauty just seems to be in the room and we don't even necessarily need to do anything. And I think it's important to do both because the outside world and the inside world are important. It shouldn't be just one or the other, but just something nice to reflect on. And then tip number 3 is to do a new moon ritual this Sunday, Monday, depending on where you are in the world, what feels good to you. And so I've been really interested lately in doing ritual in a more symbolic way, and to where it doesn't have to be meditation and candles and, you know, the bath or whatever it is. If you like those things, totally, you know, go to town on that. But I've been really thinking, and if you have my 2018 moon journal, you've seen this, that I've been really interested in like symbolic acts as ritual. And so what I mean by that is, with this particular new moon in the sign of Sagittarius, what is Sagittarius about? Sagittarius is about belief systems. It's about experiencing new things, learning by doing. And so I would say like a ritual for this new moon is, what is something that maybe like you want to experience, or that you want to learn, or that you want to know more about, and how can you create a symbolic act to symbolize that in your life. And so that may be like, if you want to travel, if you want to go to Paris, you read a book about Paris, or if there's some kind of new concept that you want to learn about, or something that you want to bring into your life, you put a picture of that thing, you know, in your workspace or on your altar next to your bed. Or if you want to feel more strong in your body and enhance your physical vitality, you go for a hike on the new moon, or something like that. You get what I'm saying, I hope. It doesn't have to be a meditation ritual, but some kind of symbolic act that feels special to you. So that is your horoscope for the week. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, please share it with a friend, because I like to get these messages out to as many people as possible. And then, of course, if you want to go deeper into this astrology with much more information than I can provide on this video, you can check out the Feminine Principle podcast. So that's the podcast that I co-host with my friend Mel of Energetic Principles. It's called The Feminine Principle: Astrology for Authentic Living. And I'll have a link down below. You can listen on iTunes, Podbean, or even YouTube. And we put out new episodes every single week. And of course, I still have the 2018 moon journal available. So that is a journal specifically for all of the lunar cycles for the entire next year. So it has a description and reflection questions and an action item for every single new moon and every single full moon in all of 2018, and it's really cool. So I'll have a link down below so that you can get that on Etsy. Thank you so much for all of you who have ordered or just had really nice feedback and things to say and words of encouragement. I really appreciate that. It makes my day that you enjoy the things that I create. So yeah, and then lastly, of course, if you are in the San Diego area, I am hosting a new moon circle at Gather Encinitas in Encinitas, and so that's on Sunday at 7:30. I'll have a link down below. You can check that out on Meetup, and it's always a really sweet time. So that's all for now. Oh my gosh, so many things. I am wishing you an amazing week and sending lots of love. Namaste.